Okay.
I don't know. I've never served one of those before. That's just kind of something that was thrown on us. So.
You know, I heard something about an appeal, an Epoch Times article, but just driving home that day, my wife called me and said, "Oh, cops are here," and my first thought was, "Oh, is there another warrant out for my arrest?"
Yeah, well, I was anxious. I was also like, I was scared at that time because like two cops showing up at your house without notice, and I felt that moment that they gonna arrest him, and I'm like 37 weeks pregnant, and like if they take him, like who's gonna be with me? I'm alone with a child.
Pastor Derek Reimer of Mission 7 Ministries appeared in court on September 24th facing charges of mischief and causing a disturbance stemming from a February 2023 incident of Reading with Royalty Drag Queen Story Hour at Seton Public Library. The incident drew significant attention after a video was widely circulated online in which parents can be seen aggressively escorting Reimer out of the event.
We are now calling the police. Stop. We have the police coming, so it is your choice to leave or deal with the police.
Very abusive in there.
We are going
For
to...
love is love.
Hey,
That looks
guys.
like very hateful, very abusive.
After a lengthy battle for Reimer and his legal team, Calgary judge Alan Fratcham ruled that Reimer's actions were inconsiderate and disrespectful of others, but did not cross the line into criminal behavior. The judge stated that while Reimer caused emotional distress, it did not amount to a disturbance since the workers were able to continue their Reading with Royalty presentation. Furthermore, outside the programming room, there is no evidence that people were prevented from normal use of the library space. Now, on October 17th, the police had surprisingly showed up to Derek's house holding a notice of appeal regarding the judge's acquittal of Derek.
So I've never actually served one of these before, but it's just a court of appeal from the court. Okay, so I'm not sure if there's a verdict or something that happened.
Probably from my acquittal.
Okay, and I'm assuming based on just what I was reading, it looks like that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay, this is just a for you. I'm assuming you probably have a lawyer with you.
Yeah.
That I would bring that to him just to explain that to him. Okay. I don't know. I've never served one of those before. That's just kind of something that was thrown on us. So no worries. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'd let your lawyer know about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All
God
right.
bless.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
The Crown has appealed my acquittal from the Seton Library verdict. But you know what? That's okay. I'm going to talk to my lawyer about this. Let the battle continue. The battle belongs to the Lord, and I guess he wants to lose again.
Today, we will be hearing from Derek's lawyer as well as Derek and his wife regarding the appeal and the police visit.
Hey, is there any warrant of arrest for Derek Reimer?
No, we just got off the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. There's no.
Okay. I saw the cops pulling up, and then I was like confused, and then they were trying to knock on the door. So I came in open, and I was like shocked also. I was just like, what's happening? And then I asked them, I was like, oh yeah, how can I help you? And these two cops was like showed up, and they were saying that we have to serve a paper to Derek Reimer. Is Derek Reimer home? And I said, no, he's not home. He's at work. And then I asked them, like, what's the papers about? And he was like confused. These young cops, he was confused that he don't know what he's serving. He told me that, like, this is the first time I served this, but this is an appeal to serve directly to Derek Reimer.
And how did that make you specifically feel as his wife? What was going through your head?
Yeah, well, I was anxious. I was also like, I was scared at that time because like two cops showing up at your house without notice, and I felt that moment that they gonna arrest him, and I'm like 37 weeks pregnant, and like if they take him, like who's gonna be with me? I'm alone with a child, and I can't give birth anytime soon. So I was like scared being alone, and then now these two cops showing up with this paper. I thought that they're gonna arrest him right away.
Okay. I don't know. I've never served one of those before. That's just kind of something that was thrown on us. So.
You know, I heard something about an appeal, an Epoch Times article, but just driving home that day, my wife called me and said, "Oh, cops are here. And my first thought was, oh, is there another warrant out for my arrest? Because last year in December, there was a warrant out for my arrest. My probation officer actually told me about it. And he said, well, it says here that you didn't attend court, and which I did. I had numerous supporters. My lawyer obviously was there, the Crown, the judge, they all saw me there. But so I don't know. Is this just an honest mistake? Is this a strategy? Is this a game? I'm not sure, because I'm obviously very skeptical about the judicial system after my criminal harassment verdict. I'm skeptical over the cops, because my last lawyer says that, I missed calling my probation officer, just an honest mistake. And 5 minutes after they closed the building, they issued a breach to have me arrested. And he said, I've never seen that in his whole time of practicing the law. So I'm just concerned that, like my lawyer Andrew talks about, they have these gotcha moments. Like they're trying to put me in jail. They're looking for a reason. They're just going after me. So I'm driving home and I'm thinking, oh, great. I have this warrant out for my arrest. Now what? What did they create? What did they come up with? Who complained about something now? So I asked my wife, just go and record and just find out what they're here for. So the cops actually called me before she did. And she was saying, okay. And the cops are saying as well, this is actually, it's not a warrant. We have papers that we have to serve you. And I got to say, I was relieved about that, because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to jail today. They're not coming for that. So I got home. Yeah. And sure enough, I got these papers, looking through them and talking with the cops. It's an appeal to my acquittal at the Seton Library protest trial. So, of course, initially I'm a little bummed from that. And we're going back to court on my wife's birthday, February 7th of 2025. And, this battle is going to continue. But you know what? The battle belongs to the Lord. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling strong in him. And, if they want to lose twice at their own game, their own system, then so be it. Let's beat them twice and let's really stick it to them. I think the judge is going to rule in our favor. I think we're going to win twice, and it's going to make the victory even sweeter than just winning once.
What specific aspect of the decision is being challenged by the Crown?
So we don't have their arguments yet, but what we've seen from the papers that Derek was served is that the Crown is suggesting that the trial judge made an error in law. That's all we have right now. They're going to file their arguments a month before the appeal is heard. Now, I can say that this specific trial judge is Justice Fradsham. He's one of the longest serving judges of the Provincial Court, or the Court of Justice of Alberta. He's very well respected, very well regarded. He's not known for making errors in law. So it's interesting that he's the one being appealed, especially for a very detailed, legally encyclopedic written decision. But that's all I have to go on, that apparently he's made some sort of error. We'll see what they're saying that error might be. So I'm expecting the Court of Appeal to uphold the trial judge's decision. I don't see any issues whatsoever in how the trial judge interpreted causing a disturbance and criminal mischief. And this decision is public for anybody to read, and it's pretty easily accessible. And he spells out the law in causing a disturbance. You have to do a lot to cause a criminal disturbance. You have to cause a serious scene. In this case, Derek is in the room, and it's all in the decision. He's in there for maybe less than a minute. After a minute, he's thrown out, and the trial judge mentions in his decision, I'm not sure, it's not clear what caused more of a disturbance, Derek being there or Derek being physically thrown out of the room. And I think that's an interesting question. I'm not sure how any court of appeal could find that this rose to the standard of causing criminal disturbance, or how the law was misinterpreted. But we'll see what they say.
Is there anything that stood out to you in specific from the judge's decision?
The legal analysis was pretty thoughtful, but I thought his assessment of the evidence was interesting, especially the witnesses testifying. In particular, the library supervisor that day, he devotes a paragraph to discussing how he finds it to be, I'll quote, less than objective in his evidence. He found that there was an exchange that happened at trial that was telling, where he's asked repeatedly, was Mr. Reimer thrown out of the room? And he keeps saying no. He keeps trying to say it in other words. Well, he wasn't thrown out. He was physically removed. Well, what does that mean? Was he thrown out? Well, and he hems and haws, and eventually, sort of after some tooth pulling metaphorically takes place, he admits it. This was held against him, and it was found that his reluctance to say that, and in addition to a number of other factors that were covered in the decision, suggest that he was biased against Pastor Derek and that his evidence bespoke an animus towards Mr. Reimer. So I thought that was interesting that the judge, he's fairly even-handed most of the other time, but in this particular case, he makes a finding essentially of credibility, finding that the witnesses against Derek were less than perfectly credible in their evidence.
We are now calling the police. Stop. We have the police coming, so it is your choice to leave or deal with the police.
So one other element that's relevant here is the coverage in the legacy media about this matter, because there have been some things published in the legacy media ongoing for years now that just aren't true. So one of the publications that went on and on, was repeated, numerous stories, was that Derek, apparently, according to the media, entered the library and uttered homophobic and transphobic slurs. And I think that when we think of that word, we might have an idea of what was said. And if that idea is anything like what you and I are thinking, Derek did not utter anything like that. This went on for a while. When the decision came out and it talked about what was said at trial. What was said at trial when the witnesses came and testified as to what happened in the library that day, they couldn't remember what was said. And I would suggest that if a slur was uttered, people would remember that. However, what they testified to was they couldn't remember exactly what he said, but they said that he was shouting religious jargon. They didn't even say that, he didn't say anything like, if you do this, you're going to hell. Nothing like that was said. But what was said was unspecified religious jargon. And I don't know in what universe that's a slur, to say religious jargon, especially if you can't remember what the jargon is. In this case, what happened was that I was concerned about how he was represented. I wrote a letter to it was a CBC, in fact, the outlet that published that. I wrote a letter to them just pointing out some of the issues there and pointing out that we've heard from everyone that there's issues in that there's reputational harm that Derek suffered as a result of this. And they ended up changing the story. They changed it to say that police said that he said that, which is potentially thin gruel, that police said that he said that, but which witnesses did? Nobody seems to remember him saying anything like that. So I bring this up for people just to look at what was decided, to look at the decision. Don't necessarily rely on particular media outlets to determine what happened in this case. Look at what was found in court. Look at what witnesses testified to determine the truth of what actually happened here, because it's not necessarily what you read in the news.
On November 28th, that is my criminal harassment sentencing. That's just for disagreeing about Drag Queen Story Hour with the library manager, which is totally egregious. It's outrageous. So we are appealing that. But that sentencing is happening. But the day before, and I just want to give the information here, that we are having a pre-sentencing church service at Pastor Artur Pawlowski's church at the Fortress. That's at 4315 26th Avenue Southeast. We are gathering on the 27th, the Wednesday evening at 6 o'clock sharp. And it's going to be a powerful, fiery, just evening of unity and freedom and focusing on Jesus. And then the next day, I'm getting sentenced, and let's pack that courtroom. Let's show the judge that we are in favor of opposing Drag Queen Story Hour, that we are in favor of freedom of expression, freedom of religion, and that we're tired of this. Like, think of how much money that they've wasted with these cops and with these drag queens and these shows and coming after people like myself and others that have stood up against Drag Queen Story Hour. So enough is enough. And let's get acquitted. Let's beat them in court, and let's carry on. And if people want to donate, you can go to savepastorderek.com. I really appreciate the donations. TDF has been with us all the way. And, Rebel News, TDF has just been a godsend. So thanks a lot. God bless and much love.
Pastor Reimer's legal defense has been crowdfunded through Rebel News viewers in partnership with the Democracy Fund, a registered Canadian charity. You can help support Derek's legal battle by submitting a donation under savepastorderek.com. As always, stay strong and stay free. For Rebel News, I'm Angelica Toy. The Rebel News store has a number of new additions. Head over to rebelnewsstore.com and grab a cozy hoodie to keep you warm this fall.